Happy New Year's, everybody. Welcome back. Today, in my series of how I ended up in Italy, this is how I discovered the Camino de Santiago, this trail in Spain, and how I ended up going there in the first place. So first, in the end of my college career, about the last year, I saw a video online of Will Smith giving an interview, and he was talking about the law of attraction, and he mentioned one of his favorite books was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So I ended up getting that book and really liking it, and the main character in that book, his name is Santiago, actually. And then when I graduated college, my girlfriend at the time bought me a bunch of Paulo Coelho books. The Alchemist, she got me another Alchemist copy. I don't know what happened to my first one, but then she also got me The Way of the Warrior of the Light and The Pilgrimage. So then, fast forward, after college, I joined the Army, and then around the time I was transitioning out of the Army, I had a little psychedelic experience where two words came through me, and at the time were significant in the moment because they had no significance to me. And those two words were James and Panther. Those were the words. Panther still has no, I don't know what the significance is that. I'm always looking for the significance of little things and the connections between events and happenings, and those are kind of my little yellow arrows that I follow. Anyways, those words came out, and then later, after I was completely out of the Army and back at home, I read The Pilgrimage, which was Paulo Coelho's first book. And depending on how you read it, it kind of seems nonfiction, kind of seems fiction. Most people would probably think many parts are fiction, but it's talking about the Camino de Santiago. It's his story of going there and traveling on this trail, and a bunch of crazy things happened to him. But anyways, it's the first time I've heard about this trail, the El Camino de Santiago in Spain. It's one of the most ancient pilgrimage trails in the world. Basically, it comes from all over Europe. Like, you could start it probably in Poland or something if you wanted, and go through all the countries in France. And there's all these connections to it, but there's also a main chunk that goes from France to the western edge of Spain in a town called Santiago de Compostela. I read the book, and in the beginning, it's talking about Santiago. And he writes in basically one sentence, he says, and Santiago in English means St. James. And right there, I was like, oh, James. There's a connection. Then the very next sentence was like, and James in France is Jacques. And I was like, what? Because that was another connection for me, because my mom had told me long ago that when I was in her belly, they were thinking of names, and she wanted to name me Jacques, but my dad vetoed it because he thought people would call me Jockstrap. So I was like, whoa, okay, there's some connections. So anyways, I didn't think that was about the end of that for a while, and then I was jumping around, working at the restaurant, the Jack Stack Barbecue, and starting to play in this band, and advancing musically was really a great period. Painting a lot. I was going through all this, so I was really kind of following this spirit of, letting go, just seeing where your path takes you, trusting that it'll take you somewhere good, and trying to, rid myself, not follow any fears, not let fear guide my life in any way. And of course, having a Christian background, which I had kind of lost my faith in, but still had this all this imagery, this Christian imagery, and just Christian values ingrained in me since a little kid. These would all kind of come to play. For example, one time I was at the band's house, and right before the Camino thing came up, and we were watching a video of Black Label Society, and it's a bunch of like they're basically satanic, devil worshiping music type of stuff. And I'm sitting there, and like my old original values are kind of like screaming like, run out of the room. But then I was thinking, I was like, well, yeah, but this is stupid. Like, why do I have to be scared of even sitting face to face with the devil? Like, Jesus talked to the devil and was fine, wasn't even bothered. And it's like, okay, if you really had if you really connected to Jesus, even in the traditional Christian sense, it's like, why would you fear anything? Like, you could be standing right in front of the worst possible thing and it have no effect, no influence on you whatsoever. So I kind of had that little experience. And then shortly right after, I went down to visit my friend Austin in Texas. He was living around Waco at the time in an apartment by himself, and I guess he had started his work, but either way, I went to spend a week with him, and we had a bunch of fun time, go around, do this, had to do that. When I was down there, we stayed in Austin, and we stayed in a hotel, and when I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had that sleep paralysis. People say like the devil's walking on your back or something, where you wake up and you're like, you can't move, you can't talk, you can't do anything, but you're aware, and you kind of start freaking out in your mind. And I was stuck, and my brain was going frantic until at the last moment, in my brain, yelled, Jesus! And then it just snapped out of it. And I'm like, that's interesting. So the evening of the last day I'm staying with Austin, we're just sitting around chit-chatting, and somehow the conversation moved to the point where I brought up, oh, yeah, I heard of this Camino de Santiago. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, I don't know, it's this trail you backpack in Spain, and you just walk every day. Basically, you walk 500 miles, 800 kilometers, 900 kilometers, and I don't know, it takes about a month or so. And so I just basically told him that, because I didn't really know anything about it, and I don't know why, but thanks to him, he starts researching immediately and is like, okay, how much do plane tickets cost? They cost around this much, 800, 1,000. Okay, where should we fly into to get to the trail? It's like, okay, Barcelona for the plane tickets, and then we can take a train to Pamplona and a bus to there. And he's like, what time of year should we go for the weather? All these things that I definitely wouldn't have thought about at the time. And I had no really even... I was getting excited in the moment while he was getting excited, and I was like, yeah, sounds good. Okay, so yeah. So basically he was like, okay, do you think we can go, this was March, and he was like, we can go in September, which gives us 6 months. He's like, do you think you can save $3,000 in 6 months and get the time off from work, which would be 45 days, we decided. We'd do, it'd take around a month, 30 days to do the Camino, and then we could go visit some other places in Spain and then come back. And so I was like, okay, sounds good, let's do it. So then I went home. I basically wrote on a piece of paper, I drew a thermometer, and $0 to $3,000. And I took whatever little money I had, put it in there, and then every day I was working in carryout at the time at Jack Stack, and so I'd get tip money and stuff, and I basically just started putting all that in there, and any extra money I had, because it was staring me in the face every day when I'd wake up. That thermometer was on the table, and it felt great to put money in there and then fill up the thermometer a little bit. Anyways, another word of advice to get the time off work. Here's a little clue, a little hack, if you will. If you go to your manager or whoever's making the schedule and you say, I have this thing that's 6 months in the future, they are very likely to give it to you, because most people will say, you're coming 6 months in advance, which is way more than most people do. And you're saying, okay, 45 days. Usually your manager will not really consider what it means to be losing a full-time employee for 45 days because it's 6 months in the future. So you'll be good to go. And, usually by the time it's a week out, then the manager will start kind of freaking out, but it's too late. So at least something you can do one time. I don't know if you could repeat it, but it worked for me. So I went 6 months in advance, say I'm going to need these 45 days off. Got that. Okay, saving the money. I got the money. Then, again, I didn't know, just seemed like we were going on an adventure. So got a backpack. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it as far as, are you going to take this, or how many clothes are you going to take? The best advice is take as little as possible. I had 2 canteens when I went, and I ended up dumping one of them. But anyways, I guess that explains how, very short and simply, basically, the Alchemist, the pilgrimage, talking to Austin. Next thing you know, we're booking a ticket. It was like 3 months, 4 months into it, and we bought our tickets. And then next thing you know, we're getting on a plane to go to Spain, fly to Barcelona.